Howdy folks, I'm Scoryth, the Crimson Renegade, and welcome to the first episode of Final Fantasy VII. This is the original Final Fantasy VII. This isn't the remake. By the time this video comes out, the remake isn't out yet. This is the original one from the PlayStation version. This is the version I'm actually playing is the Steam version from 2013, I think, something like that. And this is one with a lot of improvements to the game overall. Mostly the resolution will be better. I'm playing it at 1080 resolution, and a lot of there's three versions of the game. Let me just get down to it. The first one is the PlayStation version that has all the bugs and all the grammar mistypes and mistranslations, things of that sort. They fixed those in the PC version that came out, I believe, the PC version that came out later. I can't remember exactly when. But then the Steam version came out later, which has improved resolution, played higher resolution now. Like I said, I'm playing it at 1080, and it fixes some more bugs and stuff, including the magic defense glitch. I'll go over that a little bit later. But there's going to be no executive produce here, so don't worry about that. So let's get started with Final Fantasy VII. As you can see, like I said, this is the Steam version, so it's got the keyboard controls, although I'm using an Xbox 360 controller to play the game, so I've already got my settings set the way I want as far as the controller goes. So let's get past this screen here. And, of course, you can go new game or continue. I don't have any games saved, obviously, so because I can't continue. So I'm going to start with a new game. I apologize if the music and the sounds in the first part of this episode are a little high. I'm going to adjust those in the configuration once I get the game started to lower those. That way you guys can still hear me. Well over the game sounds. So I'll let you guys enjoy the iconic introduction to Final Fantasy VII. Starfield that everyone recognizes. They even used this first part of the game here, this introduction, as the tech demo to the PlayStation 3 when it was first released. And because they used this part of it, everyone thought that was going to be a sign that Squaresoft was making a remake of Final Fantasy VII. And oh no, all it was a tech demo. I still don't believe that remake they're working on is real. This is 2016. I still don't believe they're going to make that remake that we saw at last year's E3 was real. I think it's just some big scheme or setup or something. Until I actually have the game in my hand, I'm still not going to believe it. Wonder who this lady is. Probably nobody important. Right? Admittedly, when this game came out in 1997, it originally came out in 1997, the graphics, the FMVs, that's what I was looking for, are fantastic. They blew me away when I first saw them. This is really the first RPG I played in its entirety. I had played bits and pieces of Chrono Trigger before I actually played it myself. But this is the first game I actually played from start to finish myself. I had a friend that had video games a lot, and I would play the RPGs that he had. And again, it would just be a piece I played here, parts of the game here and there. I never got a full experience. This is the first game that I can play in full. So, like most people, I'm pretty sure this is probably their favorite Final Fantasy. It was the first one I played. It was the first 3D Final Fantasy. Well, 3D being as opposed to the original 2D on the SNES. And I love how the transition of the FMV ends right to the actual screen of the game. That's awesome. I've always loved that. It's not the first time I have it. We do it a lot. And enter this guy. That's the only downside of this game is for the awesome FMVs and the graphics outside of the field, you've got the N64 blockiness. I understand the reason for that is because originally this game was supposed to have been made for the Nintendo 64, but they had moved it over to the PlayStation for more memory and all that other stuff. They could have actually made Final Fantasy VII's graphics look as good as 8 as far as the character designs, with, you know, full faces and hands and everything. But because they originally were going to think it was going to bring for the N64, they had to make these blocky graphics, which, oh well. And by the way, one other thing I want to mention, I am using a mod for this particular game. It's not a cheat or anything, it's just a minor little text modification that changes the magic names and a few other things to the more modern day type magic. So I'll get you what I mean. Let's go ahead and just say follow me. We're obviously this guy here in the purple outfit. Go to the menu here, and I'm going to go down here. There's some obvious options here. I'm going to go down here to config, make some changes, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. As you can see, I've already made some, you can see an obvious change right away as I've already changed the color of the background. You can do that. Let's get started with looking over the menu here real quick. As you can see, we've got a few options. We have a few slots that are blank because those are options that we don't have access to yet. By the way, in case you're kind of curious, this is going to be kind of a more tutorial type play because I'm very familiar with this game and I know it quite well. But there are a few blank spots that will fill up once we get the certain parts of the game. From the top of the list, obviously you have your items. This is your inventory of all the items that you have throughout the game that you've picked up. Typically you use this here in case you need to recharge your health or your MP. Pretty basic thing. You could rearrange it by going back to the screen, go to arrange, you can arrange it in different ways. By the way, using the field, using the battle, throwing, most, least, you can customize the sword, things like that. And then you have key items. Key items are items that you'll pick up throughout the game that are obviously key to the story, important things. I can't really give you an example, but just items that you would need that you can't really do anything with per se, like using them to boost your characters or anything, but just stuff that actually that helps with the storyline. And we'll go into more detail about that when we come across the key item. Magic, of course, just like any Final Fantasy game, you use magic. We're going to look at this character here, Ex-Soldier, and look at his magic. Right now we have Blizzard and Thunder. Now, as I said before, I have a special mod installed that modifies the game a little bit, that changes the names of the magics in this game, and some of the descriptions, and a few other small things, to the more modern types of Final Fantasy magics. For example, originally, here you'd have Ice and Bolt as these two magic names here, and then when you get to the higher tier abilities, you had Ice, Ice 2, Ice 3, Bolt, Bolt 2, Bolt 3, and so on and so forth. Well, in the more modern day Final Fantasy, actually starting in the next game, Final Fantasy VIII, they actually have Blizzard, Blizzara, and Blizzaga. Blizzara being Ice 2, Blizzaga Ice 3, Thundara, Thundaga being Bolt 2, Bolt 3, and so on and so forth. I like those names better, so I use a little mod here that modifies these names to be of the more modern type. So if you're playing along with me and you're wondering why you don't see these names, that's why I'm using this little minor mod. Again, it's just a text thing. It doesn't modify the game in any way. It doesn't make it any better, any stronger. It doesn't adjust the abilities at all. It's strictly just all text. So we have Blizzard and Thunder right now. These are the two abilities we have. Blizzard is obviously an ice elemental attack, and Thunder is lightning elemental. Let's go back here. And let's go to the equip screen here. We can look at Ex-Soldier's ability, weapons, or all of his equipment actually. We have a weapon, which is the Buster Sword. His armor, or armlet, is called the Bronze Bangle. There's only one armor that you have to worry about in the entire game for every character. And armor is, for the most part, universal. There's a few exceptions as far as gender is concerned. Some equipment you can only put on men, some you can only put on women. But for the most part, armor is universal. The same for this ACC here. This is accessories. You can put items on here that boost minor stats like your attack, status prevention, or status, or can actually input a status, start your character with a status, things of that sort. Actually, there's even some accessories that actually absorb elemental magical elements, which is very nice. We'll obviously go over those when we get the opportunity. We don't have any new abilities to equip, so see, the Buster Sword is a mysterious sword with unknown origins. That also is another modification that happened originally. I think it would just say it's initial equipment. No, but that's how it works. Let's see, let's go back here, and we can look at the status. What the status screen does is just a general overlook of the character that you want to look at. In this case, ex-soldier. We can see his experience at the top of the screen here. He's got 610 experience. He needs 35 experience points to reach the next level. Limit level 1, we'll the limits in just a minute. And then you see all his stats over here. Strength, dexterity, vitality, magic, spirit, and luck. They pretty much are self-explanatory. Strength is how much attack power, is how much damage you do. Dexterity is essentially your defense. Vitality, the magic, spirit, luck. Again, most of the things are pretty self-explanatory. Same as they are just about any RPG. Attack power, attack percentage. The stats you see at the bottom half here are mostly based on your stats. Now, one thing I want to point out is in the original PlayStation version and in the non-Steam version, non-Steam PC version, I believe, magic defense is bugged. So no matter what army you pick up, magic defense, whatever stats it says, is actually 0. So just completely ignore the magic defense stat on any army you pick up. I believe they have fixed that for the Steam version. So I won't be able to find out for sure. That's what I've heard. I haven't actually really experienced it myself, so I'd actually have to get another piece of armor and find out. On the lower right-hand side of the screen here, you see weapon, buster sword, armor, bronze, nickel, and accessories. And you see these two little green circles here. Those are for a special function in this game that we'll go over once we actually have that ability unlocked. And then above that, you see the little box that says attack, magic, and item. As you gain abilities through using those little green circles that I mentioned down there, again, I'll go over that in more detail. That box shows you what commands this character has available once you go into a battle. So right now, the ex-soldier can only use attack, magic, and item. So, okay, that's all you can see at the status screen here. Let's go back here. Actually, you do some of the, oops, I missed something. You go into the status screen, there's actually some other things you can look at. I'll get this right here. I believe if you press A again, yeah, if you press the OK button or the X button if you're using PlayStation, you actually see the elements of which they are, their elements of their affinity. In this case, this is more modified toward their gear. Right now, ex-soldier doesn't have any gear on him that actually boosts or protects him from any type of status. Or any type of element, I mean. As you can see, the elements in this game are fire, ice, lightning, earth, poison, gravity, water, wind, and holy. Typically, they're pretty obvious what the opposites are. Fire and ice are opposites. Throughout most of the game, there are not a whole lot of enemies that are actually weak to ice, so you won't see me using blizzard skills a whole lot. But what this screen here does, it shows you what your affinities are. So, say I have some kind of lightning ability attached to ex-soldier's weapon, the lightning word there will be lit up, letting you know that when he attacks with lightning damage. And then, obviously, armors with half invalid absorb. Half would mean, say if the word, again, lightning was lit up under half, he would take half damage from lightning attacks. If lightning was lit up under invalid, he would take no damage from lightning attacks. And if lightning was lit up under absorb, obviously, any lightning attacks that hit him would actually heal him. So, and I'll try to remember to show off what these look like once you equip certain abilities. And then you press OK again, or X again, you're going to see the effects. These are the status ailments available in the game. Death, near death, which is essentially critical health. Your health is in the yellow, I believe. Sleep, poison, sadness, fury, confusion, silence. I just use a whole bunch up here. Some of these status elements are actually like defense boosters, buffs essentially, like regen, barrier, M barrier, which is magic barrier, and things of that sort. What it means by attack and defend means if you can actually say death was lit up under attack, there's a chance you can actually inflict death when you attack. And then obviously once you go around, if death was lit up under defend, depending on your armor, of course, or weapon if you're under attack, you are actually resistant or immune to the death status element. So, as these are lit up, I'll try to, as I get equipment that protects me and inflicts these status elements, I'll try to remember to come back to this screen and show you what they look like when they're lit up. Press OK again, it goes back to the main status screen. So let's go back here. We can go down to order. What this does, this allows you to shift the order of your party members in battle. So as you can see right now, we have ex-soldier. We have 3 slots available. We can have a maximum of 3 party members in battle at once. And you can move them around as you see. So right now, I just put ex-soldier in the middle of the row. So if we were actually going to battle, you would see he would be in the middle. If we had, you won't be able to tell right away because you only have 1 person in the party. But if we had more people, you'll see that you can arrange them differently. And you put them down here in the bottom row and so on and so forth. Typically what I like to do is, just for this kind of an OCD thing, I like to put 1 character in the middle, and if I have 2 characters, I'll put 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, leaving the middle space empty. There's really no important need for this. It doesn't help you strategically in any way. It's just, kind of like I said, it's kind of an OCD thing. Now there is one thing about the order that does make a difference strategically in the game. Front row and back row. You can see ex-soldier's portrait over here is on the left side of the screen. If I double tap the OK button, and his portrait is now to the right, or closer to his name, that means he's going to be in the back row. What that means is that back row characters will take less damage from melee attacks. However, ranged attacks and magic attacks will have no effect. They won't make a difference what row you're in. But it also works the other way around as well. If you're in the back row as a melee attacking character, you will deal less damage. But your magic attacks won't be affected, and your ranged, if it's a ranged attacking character, row does not matter either. You can be in the back row and still deal the same amount of damage. There are some exceptions to this rule, but just keep that in mind. That also works for the enemies as well. If you're a front row melee character, like ex-soldier as he uses a sword, as we saw by the Buster Sword, if he tries to attack attack an enemy rather, in the back row, he will deal less damage because it's in the back row. Again, ranged and magic makes no difference as far as rows. So I want to leave him in the front row so he can deal as much damage as possible. Alright, we're done with this screen. We go down here to limit, and this is where we look at the limit part of the status that we looked at earlier. What limit does in this game is it allows, when you take damage, your limit bar fills. As you can see on the screen here, right under where it says limit level 1, you see the pink bar, it's about, maybe say, about 40% full maybe. That is your limit gauge. As you take damage throughout the game, or throughout battles, depending on how much damage you take in relation to your health, the limit bar will increase. So obviously a bigger hit, you will fill up your limit bar faster. When it fills up, you unleash a limit. You can unleash a limit skill called a limit break. Let's go into limit here and take a look at ex-soldier's limits. As you can see, there are 4 levels of limits. And again, I'll go into more detail about this as I progress, because I know this is kind of a lot to all take in at once if you're new to the game. But there are, for most characters, there are a couple of exceptions, but for most characters, there are 2 skills per level for each character. So in this case, right now, we only have 1 skill, obviously, right now for ex-soldier called Braver. That's his level 1 ability. In order to gain his second level 1 limit break, he has to use Braver a certain number of times. I believe it's 8. I think the number changes depending on the character, but for the first skill of every level, you need to use that skill a certain number of times in order to unlock the second ability of that level. Does that make sense? Now, to unlock the first of the next level, looks like we're looking at level 1, level 2 here. Sorry for the little break there. I had to do something off screen real quick. Going back to the level things here. Let's say we've unlocked ex-soldier's second level 1 limit break. In order to unlock his first level 2 limit break, you have to have, the ex-soldier has to have amassed a certain number of kills. That number varies also, and I don't know exactly what it is for ex-soldier, but it doesn't matter how you obtain those kills, and it doesn't matter, you don't even have to use the second skill at all if you don't want to. You just have to have that character amass a certain number of kills. And sometimes you can actually unlock the first, second, or third level ability by getting a certain number of kills before you've unlocked the second ability of the first level. I know this is all really confusing, and I'm throwing names out, all kinds of numbers out and stuff here. But Let's just use, let me try to explain this a little easier. Let's use A, B as each one of the skills. Let's say Braver is skill A, and we'll just call the second ability skill B. In order to unlock skill B for level 1, for level 1, you have to use Braver skill A a certain number of times. In order to unlock skill A for level 2, Ex-Soldier must kill a certain number of enemies. And that's the way it works for level 3 as well. In order to unlock skill B for level 2, Ex-Soldier must use skill A under level 2 a certain number of times. That will unlock skill B for level 2. And then after getting a certain number of kills, skill A for level 3 will be unlocked. Does that make a little more sense? Is that a little easier to understand? So there is a possibility, it doesn't happen very often, but there is a possibility that a character could actually gain the skill A of the next level before they gain the skill B of the previous level because they've amassed so many kills. It's very rare that it's possible. Now, as far as being able to, we have our couple options here, set and check. What check does allows you to actually look at the skills in a little more detail. We're going to select level 1 because we only have one level here. And Braver. The descriptions are very vague. Attacks one opponent. Whoa, that really tells me a lot. But what it does is it unleashes a pretty powerful melee attack against one opponent. The types of the number of enemies that it can hit, as far as skills and stuff, vary depending on the skill, and row does not matter. You can actually, no matter whether you're in the back row or the enemy's in the back row, limit skills are not restricted to rows. They won't take any. You won't deliver less damage if you're attacking from or attacking the back row with a limit skill. Okay, once that's done, you can go over here to set. Now, what set does, that allows us to set our level of limit break. Once Ex-Soldier gains his skill A of level 2, we actually have to set it. And what we do is we click set, go down here to level 1, I'd go over here to level 2, click OK, and then it would enable Ex-Soldier to access his level 2 limit breaks when he goes into battle and fills up his limit bar. Once you use your level 2, once you set to level 2, you cannot use your level 1 limit breaks. Again, there are some exceptions to that, but that's the main rule for just about every character. And again, I'll go into more detail on how setting and all that stuff works once we actually gain more levels. Alright, on the config screen here, we have our, so we set the window color. You see I kind of set to kind of the red and black Crimson Renegade colors that I like to go with. I turned down the sound, as you may have noticed. I turned the music and background music and sound effects down to about half. I may do some adjustments between episodes after I finish this one to make sure that the sound is low enough that you guys can still hear me clearly and still be able to hear the game clearly. So if there's a few adjustments in the audio in the next episode, at least you'll know why. Controller, you can customize your controller settings. I don't know how well you can do this in the PlayStation version, but you can customize your keyboard if you're using a keyboard or a controller for the PC version. In the Steam version, you have to customize these settings. You have to customize the controller settings outside the game in the game's launcher. In the PC version preceding Steam, you can customize both keyboard and controller from in-game. Otherwise, you have to adjust. You can only adjust keyboard from in-game in the Steam version. Cursor. This allows you to, whenever you're in a battle, it pulls the menus up. The setting is set for initial right now. So what happens is whenever a character finishes the turn, when their turn comes back, the cursor will be set back at the beginning on attack. Remember the little box I showed you on the status screen, on Ex-Soldier status screen, that showed attack, magic, and item. That's the battle command menu. With initial set, the cursor will always default back to attack. If you set it to memory, which I won't do very often if at all, whatever command you last put in with that character, the cursor will default to that command. So again, going back to Ex-Soldier's command screen, let's say I use magic as the previous command on his last turn. When his turn comes back around, the cursor will default to magic instead of attack. See how that works? I hardly will ever keep it on memory because most of the time I will be it's not very often I'll be using the same command multiple times in a row. It's very often I'll probably be every turn that particular character may do a different command. so it's just easier for me to start from initial. Right down here under ATB, what this stands for is Active Time Battle, and what this does, this allows you to adjust the speed of the battle bar in game. I'll show off the ATB bar in more detail once I get into a battle. But you've got active, recommended, and wait. Each one of these adjusts the speed. Active means the ATB bars will fill up constantly, with the exception of certain scenes. There'll be some times where the bar will stop regardless. Under recommended, it will fill up pretty much only when a command is not happening, or a long command is not happening. Let's say under recommended, the ATB bars will fill if my characters are just attacking, just regular attack commands. But if I'm using magic, during the magic animation, the ATB bars will stop until the animation is complete. What wait does, I've never used it, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works, and I'm going by obvious context here. What wait does is it only fills when nothing's happening. If characters are just standing there, the AT bars will fill. If the enemies are moving to make a command, if you're attacking, if you're casting magic, or doing any kind of command, the ATB bar will stop until everyone stops moving. That would make these battles last forever. So I prefer active, that way the AT bars are always filling. This game is very easy, with the exception of a couple of points. I don't really need to worry about running out, getting overwhelmed because enemies are assaulting me too quickly or anything like that. In relation to the ATB, you also have the battle speed. This actually dictates how quickly the ATB bars fill, therefore how quickly you can actually initiate your turn. This also affects barriers and stuff, so when you cast barriers on your characters, they drain a little bit faster when you have the battle speed turned up, but that's not a big deal because I usually keep an eye on it and I refresh my barriers as often as I need. Battle message, what happens here is sometimes there are messages that appear in battle, sometimes it's conversations between your characters, sometimes it's just popping up the name of the magic on screen, like you're using Blizzard, pops up Blizzard on the screen. With battle message, I like to leave battle messages set right in the middle, that way I can actually know what actions are coming up. So if I know I see an enemy doing a certain type of attack, I know what it is on screen. Either it pops up there, I can read it, okay, I know what it's doing. When it's set to battle message, when it's set to fast, it'll pop up gone. Hardly have time to read it, so that's why I like it set for medium. And field message, you may have noticed earlier when the big guy jumped off the train, told me, come on newcomer, follow me, saw how slowly the letters popped up on screen. With field message set to fast, those letters will pop up a lot faster. Now, I'm not good at voice acting, so I'm not going to try doing your voices for these characters. I wouldn't be very good at it, so I'm not going to embarrass you guys with this. And I'm going to try not to hurry through some of these messages, but if I do go too fast, I apologize. If you want to see what was said in the dialogue, just pause the game. I'm not going to hurry through it. I'm going to let it pop up still on the screen for maybe a second or so, but if I still go too fast, you can just pause the video, and again, I apologize. Camera angle. This is another customization that I prefer. In this game, there's actually a 3D camera that can rotate around the battlefield. When it's set for auto, anytime there's a special ability used, whether it's magic or any kind of special skill, the camera will kind of pan to a cinematic perspective to show kind of a more cool version of that ability. It's kind of a unique thing, but it gets a little irritating after a while. And when you click a command or use the command window, if the screen's in the middle of a cinematic, when you initiate the command window, it brings the camera back to the default view of the battle, and that back and forth that irritates me and probably will look bad on screen. So I'm going to set it to fixed. What fixed does, it leaves the camera in one spot and never moves, with very, very, very few exceptions. Only very, very powerful limit breaks and very, very powerful magic skills will initiate a cinematic camera, whether you have auto or fixed turned on. So, just to prevent the too much movement of the camera, I keep it on fixed. And finally here, under magic order, this auto sorts your magic skills by their type. In this case, you see attack, restore, and indirect. Typically what indirect refers to is magics that are mostly like buffs and debuff type magic. Obviously attack and restore speak for themselves, but it sorts the magic on your magic menu in that order. And that's the way I've got here: attacks, restores, and indirects. So, say I have fire, fire, ice, and cure. It'll actually store those in the window as fire, ice, and cure. It can adjust these, as you can see here. Attack now, attack, indirect, restore, indirect, attack. So if you want your cure skills on top, let's say I had, like I said, fire, ice, cure. Now, cure will be on top should be cure, fire, ice, because now you have the attack will be behind restore. I prefer my attack and restore. I prefer my attack to be on top. So I'm not going to be able to use restore material a whole lot. Most of the time, if I need to cure, I'll probably be using items more than I'll be using curative magic. But I still want my restore somewhat near the middle. And then I have my buffs and debuffs, which I don't use too often, at the bottom of the list. And I always want my attacks on top. So that's my config. That's how I like to set the game up. And then finally, you have the save function. And you can see it's right out here. Save functions you cannot use outside of save points. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, you can only save at save points, and eventually we'll get a world map, and you can save anytime on a world map. And then, of course, you can quit. This function is only available in the PC version, obviously, because the PlayStation version doesn't have a quit option. But you can quit the game by this button here. When you hit quit, you get one more chance to go back in the game. You'll hit quit. It says, "Are you sure you want to leave Final Fantasy VII and return to Windows?" And then it gives you. That way, if you accidentally hit it, suddenly you're not kicked out of the game. Like, oh my God, I just lost an hour of save progress. And luckily, they thought that far ahead in advance. And then finally, here at the bottom of the screen, here you got pretty much some obvious information. You got the time that you played, which we've been doing this for about 31 minutes now, and guild, which is the currency. We have 240 guild. And then below that, it says platform. That's going to give you a really basic description of the location that we're on a platform. Woo, big, really detailed description, isn't it? Alright, well, that's all for the menu. You can move around with the arrow keys. You hold the cancel button to run, otherwise you'll be doing this the entire game. And believe me, that's a very slow way to play. And we're going to head that way and follow the big guy through that tunnel up there on the left. Kind of hard to see, just next to ex-soldier's head right there. We're going to follow him into that tunnel in the next episode of Final Fantasy VII. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. I'm Scoryth, the Crimson Renegade. I'll see you later.